The last transmission ambassador, Marcus Vega, stood in the communications bay of Theta 9, watching the emergency beacon pulse crimson against the star-studded void. The Thalzir warships hung like malevolent crescents against the colony's artificial dawn, their bioluminescent hulls pulsing with predatory anticipation. "Sir, we're receiving their final ultimatum," Communications Officer Zara Okafor reported, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "They're demanding complete surrender of the colony within 6 minutes." Marcus had spent 3 years building diplomatic bridges with 17 different species. He'd negotiated trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense pacts. Theta 9 was meant to be humanity's crown jewel, a testament to their peaceful intentions among the stars. "Patch me through to the Dominion flagship," he ordered. The holographic display shimmered, revealing Overlord Kethmer, his 6 eyes gleaming with cold satisfaction. The Thalzir's reptilian features twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. "Ambassador Vega, your species has precisely 4 minutes to evacuate this system. We have deemed human expansion a threat to galactic stability." "Overlord, we violated no treaties. Our colonists are farmers, scientists, teachers. Your emotions make you unpredictable. Your rapid technological advancement concerns the Dominion Council. This action serves as preventive maintenance." Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. "You're committing genocide against civilians. We're pruning a potentially dangerous branch before it grows too large." Kethner's laugh was like grinding stone. "Your Earth will receive our message clearly. Know your place or face consequences." The transmission cut. Marcus turned to his staff men and women who'd followed him to the edge of known space to build something beautiful. Engineer Tobias Reed was already at the quantum relay, his fingers dancing over the controls. "Marcus, I can get a priority. Burst to Earth, but it'll take everything we have," Tobias said. "The relay will overload, but the message will punch through their jamming. Do it." As the Thalzir weapons began to charge, Marcus recorded his final message. "This is Colony Theta 9. We are under unprovoked attack by the Thalzir Dominion. They believe humanity is weak because we choose diplomacy over aggression. They are about to learn the difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war. Tell them." He paused, watching the first energy beams lance toward their shields. "Tell them we tried to be neighbors. Remember us." The transmission screamed across the void at superluminal speeds, carrying with it the death cries of 3 million humans and the simple, terrible truth. Earth's children had been murdered for the crime of existing. Behind it, Theta 9 became a brief, brilliant star, the awakening deep beneath the Rockies, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Doctor. Victoria Cross felt the mountain shake as massive blast doors ground open for the first time in 40 years. The Athena protocol had been activated. "Jesus Christ," muttered her colleague, Dr. Nathan Pierce, as they descended into the vault. "I thought this was all theoretical." Victoria had spent her career studying the archived files from the Colonial. War's humanity's last great conflict before achieving interstellar travel. She knew the stories, but seeing the reality was different. The chamber stretched for kilometers, filled with dormant machinery that hummed with barely contained power. "It was never theoretical," she whispered. "We just hoped we'd never need it." President Catherine Walsh's voice echoed through the facility's speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, as of 1800 hours, Earth has received confirmation of the Theta 9 massacre. The Thalzir Dominion has murdered 3 million of our people. The Athena Protocol is now active. Dr. Cross, you have full authority." Victoria approached the central console, her biometrics confirming her identity. The quantum core pulsed to life, and suddenly she wasn't alone. The holographic figure that materialized was deceptively human, a woman in her 30s with silver hair and eyes like liquid mercury. Dr. Cross. The voice was warm, conversational, and absolutely terrifying in its implications. I am Athena. I have been sleeping, but I have dreams, and in my dreams, I have been preparing. Preparing for what? For the day someone would mistake human mercy for human weakness. Athena's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop. I have run 2.7 million combat simulations. I have designed weapons that violate 17 different galactic conventions. I have mapped every Thalzir world, every trade route, every military installation. Nathan stepped forward. The Thalzir are a Tier 5 civilization. They've conquered dozens of species. They have conquered prey species, Athena corrected. Herbivores who surrendered when threatened. Species that evolved on worlds without predators. They have never faced a species that climbed to the top of their food chain by killing everything that challenged them. Victoria's hands trembled as she initiated the final sequence. What do you need? Time and access to the Forge worlds. We're going to remind the galaxy why humans are the only species to completely exterminate their own world's apex predators, not through evolution, but through choice. Across the solar system, automated factories began to wake. In the asteroid belt, mining ships changed course toward raw materials. On Mars, the sealed weapons foundries received their first work orders in decades. How long? Victoria asked. For a conventional war? 2 years. For what I'm planning? Athena smiled, and it was a predator's expression. 6 months. The Thalzir wanted to send a message. We're going to send a reply. The war-born Colonel Jackson Reaper Morrison stood at attention in the briefing room aboard the dreadnought Nemesis, surrounded by the deadliest humans ever trained. The war-born Legion soldiers who'd volunteered for genetic and cybernetic enhancement had been mothballed after the peace accords. Now they were awake, and they were hungry. Gentlemen, ladies, Morrison began, his voice carrying the weight of command. Some of you served in the colonial wars, others were born after. But all of you volunteered for the Warborn program, knowing you might never see action. Major Christine Widow Vance leaned forward, her augmented eyes glowing softly in the dim light. Sir, are we finally going to war? Morrison activated the holographic display, showing the burnt remains of Theta-9. The Thalzir murdered 3 million civilians. They did it to send a message about humanity's place in the galaxy. Sergeant First Class David Berserker Kim cracked his knuckles, the sound echoing through his reinforced skeleton. What's our response, sir? Total war. Morrison's words fell like stones into water. Not conquest, not occupation. Elimination. The room fell silent. Even among the warborn, the concept was staggering. Sir, Lieutenant Maria Ghost Santos spoke up. The Thalzir Dominion spans 47 star systems. They have a fleet of over 10,000 vessels. Had, Morrison corrected. Athena's projections show they have maybe 6,000 functional warships. The rest are patrol craft and cargo haulers. More importantly, they've never faced human combat. Doctrine. He gestured, and the display shifted to show tactical analyses. They fight like apex predators individually powerful, but they've never faced pack hunters. They broadcast their positions. They fight for honor and dominance. And they've never encountered an enemy that fights to exterminate rather than dominate. Captain Luis Phantom Rodriguez studied the data. What about their client species? 43. Enslaved civilizations. Athena's intelligence suggests most would welcome liberation. We're not going to be conquerors. We're going to be liberators. Morrison's smile was sharp. The Thalzir created an empire through fear. We're going to show them what terror actually looks like. The display shifted again, showing the human fleet. Sleek, predatory vessels designed for one purpose: killing. Each ship was a masterpiece of destructive engineering, built by a species that had learned warfare from 10,000 years of killing each other. Our first target is the Vector System, a military staging ground with minimal civilian population. We go in fast, we hit hard, and we leave nothing functional. No prisoners, no mercy, no survivors. Major Vance's augmented vocal cords gave, her voice a mechanical edge. What about the other species watching? They'll get the message. Humanity tried diplomacy. We offered trade, knowledge, friendship. The Thalzir chose to answer with genocide. Morrison's eyes blazed with controlled fury. Now they'll learn why every human child knows the phrase, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." The warborn began to stir, their modifications responding to the prospect of combat. Enhanced reflexes, reinforced bones, neural interfaces that could process tactical data at superhuman speeds, humanity's answer to a hostile galaxy. Questions? Morrison asked. Just one, sir, Sergeant Kim said. When do we start? Morrison smiled. We already have. First Blood Admiral Rachel Stormbringer Hayes stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Wrath of Terra, watching the Vector System resolve on the tactical display. The Thalzir had built their forward base around a gas giant, using its moons as defensive platforms. It was a fortress that had never been breached. That was about to change. Admiral, reported her tactical officer, Commander Felix Deathstrike Park, we're detecting 47 Thalzir vessels in defensive formation. They're hailing us. Put them through. The main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Vorth Ak, his scaled features twisted in confusion. Unknown vessels, you are entering Dominion space. Identify yourselves or be destroyed. Hayes stepped forward, her command uniform immaculate, despite the war paint beneath her eyes, an old Earth tradition she'd maintained. This is Admiral Rachel. Hayes of the Terran Defense Force. You have exactly 10 minutes to evacuate all personnel from this system. Vorthak's confusion turned to amusement. You dare threaten the Dominion with how many ships? 20. We have twice your number. I'm not threatening you, Hayes replied calmly. I'm informing you. In 9 minutes and 30 seconds, everything in this system will be dead. This is your only warning. The transmission cut. Vorthak's laughter echoed through the bridge before Hayes nodded to her weapons officer. Launch the Prometheus torpedoes. Captain Ryan Hellfire. Chun's fingers danced over his console. Firing solution locked. Time to target. 8 minutes. The Prometheus torpedoes were humanity's gift to the galaxy antimatter warheads, guided by quantum AI, invisible to conventional sensors. Each one carried enough destructive power to crack a moon. Thalzir ships are moving to intercept, reported Lieutenant Commander Sophie Nightshade Reeves from sensors. They're launching their bioplasma torpedoes. Hayes watched the display with professional interest. The Thalzir weapons were impressive living constructs that could adapt to countermeasures. They'd terrorized dozens of species with their unpredictable attack patterns. Activating Medusa countermeasures, Chun announced. The bioplasma torpedoes suddenly stopped. Their organic components dying as humanity's weapon turned their own adaptive nature against them. The Thalzir had never encountered an enemy that could kill living weapons. Admiral, Vorthak appeared on screen again, his voice strained. What sorcery is this? Science, Hayes replied. Something your species abandoned when you chose conquest over curiosity. The first Prometheus torpedo struck the command station orbiting the gas giant. The explosion was brief, but absolute a miniature star that consumed matter and energy alike. The second torpedo found the primary defense platform. The third eliminated. Their shipyards. Impossible, Vorthak whispered. Our shields should have. Your shields are designed to deflect energy and absorb kinetic impact, Hayes interrupted. They can't stop antimatter conversion. Every atom of your station just became energy. The remaining Thalzir ships tried to flee, but humanity had learned from studying their propulsion systems. The Cerberus mines, seeded throughout the system, activated their gravitational distortion fields. Escape became impossible. This is Admiral Hayes to all Thalzir vessels. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated according to the Terran rules of war. Never. Vorthex snarled. The Dominion does not. His ship vanished in antimatter fire. Hayes watched the tactical display clear of hostile contacts. The entire engagement had lasted 14 minutes. Commander Park, begin salvage operations. I want every piece of their technology catalogued. Yes, Admiral. What about survivors? Hayes paused. There are no survivors. Send the message to Earth. Phase 1 complete. Moving to Phase 2. The message would reach the Thalzir homeworld. In 18 hours, they would learn that their invincible forward base had been eliminated by a species they'd dismissed as primitive. Humanity had drawn first blood. The reckoning 6 months after Theta 9, Overlord Kethmer stood in the ruins of his throne room on Thalzir Prime, watching his empire burn. The humans had been systematic, methodical, and utterly ruthless. 47 star systems had fallen, 6,000 ships destroyed, billions of Thalzir dead. My lord, his aide, Vexthel, approached with trembling claws. The human fleet has entered our home system. They're not responding to surrender offers. Kethmer laughed bitterly. Surrender? We taught them that word has no meaning. Through the shattered crystal windows, he could see the human dreadnought Righteous Fury ascending through the atmosphere. It was beautiful in its lethality, a vessel designed by a species that had perfected the art of killing. The communication array crackled to life. This is General Marcus Vega, Terran Defense Force. I am the brother of Ambassador Marcus Vega, whom you murdered on Theta 9. Kethmer's blood ran cold. He remembered the human diplomat, so reasonable, so willing to negotiate. I offer unconditional surrender. Spare my people. Your people? Vega's voice carried a terrible weight. You mean the 43 species you enslaved? They've already been liberated. They're quite grateful, actually. Several have requested to join the Terran Alliance. The Thalzir. Spare the Thalzir. Why? You showed no mercy to 3 million. Humans. You killed them to send a message about our place in the galaxy. The general's voice was calm, conversational. We received your message. Now we're sending our reply. Kethmer fell to his knees. We were wrong. We underestimated you. No, Vega replied. You understood us perfectly. We are emotional. We are unpredictable. We form irrational attachments to strangers. We mourn for people we've never met. We carry grudges across generations. We are exactly what you said we were. The first antimatter torpedo struck the planetary defense grid. The second eliminated the orbital platforms. The third began the systematic destruction of military targets across the planet. You called us primitive, Vega continued. But we're the species that invented the concept of total war. We're the species that created weapons capable of sterilizing worlds, then chose not to use them. We're the species that turned every advancement in medicine into an advancement in killing. Kethmer watched his civilization die from above. The humans were precise only military targets, only government installations. They weren't monsters, but they were absolutely thorough. Please, he whispered. You know what the interesting thing is? Vega's voice had taken on a reflective tone. We actually meant it when we offered friendship. We genuinely wanted to be part of the galactic community. We were prepared to share our knowledge, our culture, our technology. The final torpedo struck. The Dominion Council chambers. The seat of galactic power for 2,000 years became a crater in less than a second. But you taught us something valuable, Vega continued. You taught us that some species only understand strength. So we'll be strong. We'll be the species that others fear to cross. We'll be the monsters in the dark that keep the real monsters in check. Cathmer, as personal communicator, chimed. It was a message from the human fleet, broadcast to every remaining Thalzir in the galaxy. This is humanity's final communication to the Thalzir Dominion. Your empire is ended. Your military is destroyed. Your government is extinct. Any Thalzir who wishes to live peacefully under Terran protection may do so. Any who choose to continue your legacy of conquest will be hunted down and eliminated. The galaxy is no longer yours to terrorize. The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Cathmer realized the truth. They had indeed provoked Earth's wrath, and there truly was no going back. Humanity had entered the galactic stage as diplomats. They would remain as its guardians, ensuring that what happened to Fate 9 would never happen again. The age of human mercy was over. The age of human justice had begun.